Hi friends, we're going to start chapter 10. Chapter 10, day 4, 5:25 p.m. Voices. Will reacted immediately. He snatched up his bow and a handful of arrows. He could hear the swish and crackle of legs making their way through the heavy underbrush. They were coming to get him, and they were close. He made a move to put out the campfire and froze. That fire was the only thing that kept the bugs away at night. His mosquito bite bodysuit was finally starting to recede. The churning itch had become almost bearable. He could even open his eyes all the way now, although the silvery mist was still there, and the headaches were worse than ever. How could he willingly feed himself to squadrons of hungry insects? There must be some way. He jammed the arrows in his back pocket and slung the bow over his shoulder. Then he picked up a sturdy twig and held it to the fire. The voices were getting louder. From the babble, he made out this single word, Phoenix. They were talking about the boat. His new torch blazing in his hand, he stomped out the fire and kicked a mass of vines and dead leaves to cover the evidence. Then he squeezed himself into a dense stand of ferns and peered out. It was the little kid, the one who called himself Ian. His companion was a tall blonde boy Will hadn't seen before. The newcomer was laughing. I swim to the life raft and climb inside, and then it hits me. I forgot to untie the line. The boat's sinking, and I'm still attached to it. So I'm hanging over the side, trying to chew through the rope with my teeth, which wasn't easy because it's on fire. Will frowned. More lies about the shipwreck, but why tell them to each other? He froze. Did they suspect he was listening? That made no sense. They'd come get him if they knew where he was. Why were they talking about a disaster that never happened? Wasn't there a knife in the survival kit? Ian was asking. Yeah, but who's got time to look for it? The older boy exclaimed. I'm chewing for my life here. Then the phoenix starts down, and I'm thinking, that's it. I'm dead. And poof, the rope burns through, and I'm free. These CNC guys, when they scare you, they don't mess around. It seems pretty far-fetched that they could be behind all this, said Ian. You'll see. We're wasting our time. Will's not on the island anymore. He's probably in some hotel room, living large. Hotel room? What was he talking about? As Will watched the blonde boy, in a flash he knew with absolute certainty something he couldn't possibly have known. It was a message engraved on one of the earpieces of the kid's sunglasses. The Toast of London. The Toast of London? He was taken aback. Where would he get a crazy idea like that? This was a total stranger, and yet the feeling was so vivid, Will could almost see the words imprinted in the fancy metal. Impossible! And yet it wouldn't be the weirdest thing that had happened to him in the last few days. Was he losing his mind? And then he heard a word that had been very much in his thoughts lately. Lysa. Yeah, she was already in the water when I found her, the blonde was saying. I'm not sure how she got there. We'll ask her. Ask her? Will stiffened like a pointer. They knew where she was? He struggled to force his sluggish mind to reason it out. He couldn't let them get away. He had to attack. There were two of them, and he had his bow and arrow. He would squeeze his sister's whereabouts out of them if it was the last thing he did. If they wouldn't talk, he'd... What? Shoot them? He'd never have the guts. He thrummed the bowstring with his free hand. Yes, I would. This is life and death. I shot that boar. I'll shoot them. The two boys were no more than 20 feet away. Will prepared himself to spring. They would never get any closer than this. The moment passed. Will squinted at their receding backs. He took no action. There was a better way. End of chapter 10. And I'm losing sunlight anyway outside here in my outhouse. Talk to everyone soon. Next, Chapter 11.